Nā mai, haere mai, ki aku rangatira, tēnā koutou katoa. To my esteemed friends, welcome and warmest greetings. Hello, my name is Raewyn Lovett, and I am the co-chair of the International Working Group on Women in Sport. Today, we are seeing the largest, most powerful wave of support for women's sport the world has ever seen. Today, we're in a world where over 1 billion fans tuned in to watch the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup in France, a world where the ICC T20 Women's Cricket World Cup broke all records, and a world where the Tokyo 2020 Olympics will finally achieve equity in its medal events. But today we still live in a world where women and girls face significant physical and social barriers to participating, competing and building careers in sport and physical activity in their communities. And today we live in a world where COVID-19 has had an extraordinary and disproportionate impact on women and girls in all parts of their lives, from well-being to employment to safety in their homes. Today, therefore, presents a major opportunity to positively influence gender equity for generations. Established in 1994, the IWG is the world's largest network dedicated to empowering women and girls advancing sport. Our reach includes thousands of experts from across global sport, recreation, government, business, media, and academia. We are fully aligned to the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, in particular SDG 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Women in Sport Aotearoa, also known as WISPA, is the current IWG Secretariat from 2018 to 2022. With the Secretariat based in Aotearoa, New Zealand, the 8th IWG World Conference on Women in Sport will take place here where I am in Auckland and online in May 2022. Last Friday, the 7th of May 2021, WISPA and IWG hosted the annual Captain's Lunch to mark 1 year to go until we staged the conference. New Zealand Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Jacinda Ardern, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Sport and Recreation, the Honourable Grant Robertson, and Chief Executive of our government agency, Sport New Zealand, Raelene Castle, headlined the event at Eden Park Stadium. The event included a panel discussion with Dwayne Cale, the Vice President of the International Paralympic Committee, international rally driver Emma Gilmore, and Sarah Walker, BMX Olympic medalist and IOC member for New Zealand. And the event was moderated by former WNBA player Megan Compain. There are over 400 businesses and sport leaders from across New Zealand and Australia in attendance, with a purpose to champion gender equality in sport. Here is a snippet of the event.
And there are many other wonderful advocates for diversity and equality in the room today, demonstrating what can be achieved when we empower one another and, importantly, when we challenge the status quo. Now, I'm enormously proud to live in a country that celebrates women in the way that we do. New Zealand has always worked very hard to be at the forefront of gender equality, be it in leadership, be it in business, sport, and civil society. Women currently serve in the roles of Prime Minister, Governor-General, the Chief Justice of New Zealand. But the day when a female leader becomes so commonplace that it doesn't merit comment, that's the day when things have truly changed. So we can never assume that a path that is clear or cleared remains that way, and that everything, once you've been on that path, automatically becomes easier for those of you who follow. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. The kind of change and opportunities we're seeking for women won't happen overnight and will continue to take a collective effort. This event's theme, the Change Inspires Change campaign, reflects that. We're only going to see change if we keep up our momentum, if we celebrate the small steps that lead to bigger change, if we continue to challenge behaviours and attitudes and continue striving for greater diversity. So how can we use sport to drive this change? Sport has proven itself to be a powerful tool with a unique ability to transcend social barriers and boundaries. And through sport, we have the opportunity to further promote the importance of issues like gender pay parity and female leadership. On becoming minister, Grant made clear that his top priority for the sport and recreation portfolio was women and girls in sport. Sport New Zealand developed the Women and Girls in Active Recreation strategy that I had the honour to launch right here at Eden Park in 2018. The key themes of that strategy continue to be areas where we have a huge opportunity to make a difference in the well-being of women, participation, value, visibility, governance and leadership. And I know Grant will fill you in on some of the progress in the implementation of that strategy shortly. It's about making progress for women at all points along the sporting spectrum, though, from how we encourage participation that carries through life, because we know often women's engagement in sport can dip and wane because we try and do everything all at once, to the programs we run in schools, to the way clubs are organised, how we promote and organise sport, right through to pay parity, greater visibility of our elite athletes, and supporting more women into leadership roles. Now, we're taking some great and important steps in the right direction. New Zealand's top footballers, regardless of gender, are now receiving equal working conditions. This includes pay parity, it includes equal prize money, equal rights for image use and parity across travel while representing New Zealand. But this should not be groundbreaking, and it shouldn't be the exception. And here, I really do believe issues around women in sport often come down to a very simple principle of fairness. Sometimes, though, things that are so entrenched don't always seem as an issue of fairness unless we look at them from a different angle. So I want you to imagine a situation for me where a high school calls for auditions for a school play. A group of teenagers, different ages, genders and ethnicities, put their heart and soul into that call and audition, and 40 of them get parts across 2 different shows. They spend the next 12 weeks rehearsing, with the shows an hour each and intended to be back-to-back. The big day arrives. The students arrive at the theatre for their call time. The first show is set to perform at 6 p.m. They arrive to be told that the theatre didn't spend as much on advertising for their show as they did for the second. In fact, the only tickets sold were to family and friends, some of who couldn't make it because 6 p.m. isn't the most convenient time. They perform regardless to a mostly empty theatre. An hour later, the second crew arrives. They don't have the same problem. Their show is packed, the box office is pleased, and immediately gives them a second night's billing. Afterwards, their director is so proud they share a hot meal backstage in a green room. No one notices that the first crew left after a cold sandwich and a slice of orange. Now, of course, this is an overly simplified analogy, but if we view some of the persistent disparities in women's sport from a different angle, it can indeed be as stark as this. And some of that analogy I drew on real-life examples.
If you'd like to see more, you can watch the full event on the IWG YouTube channel. The IWG World Conference plays an important role in gender equity worldwide. Late in 2020, we announced the theme of the conference, Change Inspires Change. We're dedicated to helping shape individual decision-making and influence actions taken towards achieving gender equity in sport and physical activity worldwide by empowering people, by helping them realise that any change, however small or however large, contributes to a far larger story globally. Borders and managed isolation rules allowing, we are expecting over 1,200 world leaders and influencers to arrive in Auckland, New Zealand for 4 days of intense strategic conversation, networking and learning. The breadth of this audience is huge, from global governing bodies and international federations to practitioners at all levels, governments, academics and media representatives. For the first time in its 28-year history, the IWG World Conference will be staged as a physical-digital hybrid. What this means is that we're going to be opening up to the world online, enabling hundreds, if not thousands of people to join the conversation live. And this is a huge opportunity. We're also currently building the world-first Insight Hub to go live shortly, which will become home to the world's best research, insights, case studies, toolkits, and news from all over the IWG and Women in Sport Aotearoa networks worldwide. We're also very pleased with the commitment to collaboration. To date, there are more than 150 leaders from every continent and more than 40 countries involved with designing the conference program, ensuring we hear voices from every part of the world. The conference is being organised into 5 themes that the team has identified as key issues impacting women in sport globally. And these themes are leadership, social change, active lives, high performance, visibility and voice. Each of those 5 themes will be examined through 7 conference lenses: ingenuity, technology, data and innovation, health and well-being, systems, resource and investment, environmental sustainability, human rights, integrity and accountability. And with less than a year to go now, we will have more information available soon about the conference, and we hope that you might join us in person or online in May 2022. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the tremendous work by the Chinese Taipei Olympic Committee. It has not been that long ago that we celebrated the re-signing of the Brighton plus Helsinki Declaration on Women in Sport by the Chinese Taipei Olympic Committee and the signing by a further 28 local organisations. In 1994, the IWG established the Brighton Declaration, and that provided the principles and guide on the actions to increase the involvement of women in sport and physical activity. It was updated by the Finland Secretariat in 2014. The Brighton plus Helsinki 2014 Declaration on Women in Sport, signed by the Sports Administration, Ministry of Education and Chinese Taipei Olympic Committee in November last year, was developed by the IWG representatives of member states on the 20th anniversary of the Brighton Declaration, which was also the occasion of the 6th IWG World Conference on Women in Sport in Helsinki, Finland. Representatives of member states developed a more complete declaration extending the goal of equality in sport and physical activity from women to society, school and youth. Over the past nearly 30 years, the Brighton Declaration has had a substantial impact on the sport policies of various countries. Women-related sport organisations around the world have been successfully developed. The collective commitment by organisations such as the Chinese Taipei Olympic Committee will ensure the legacy of the IWG network continues to go from strength to strength. The power of speaking up is important, and we've seen examples of this in recent times. There have been changes in leadership in very high-profile organisations as a result of women expressing their outrage at derogatory comments aimed at women. We have to continue to raise our voices, to call out behaviour that does not advance the cause of equity. And we're excited about the part IWG can play in driving change and invite you to partner with our mission to achieve gender equity and empowerment of all women and girls. Thank you for inviting me to be part of the 2021 International Sports Affairs Training Course. Haere rā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.